right. Shalom, shalom, brothers and sisters. First and foremost, all praises to the Most High. My name is Asa El Yasharala from the Israelite Temple number 1. The purpose of this video today is to show what Yahushua HaMashiach, who the world knows as Jesus Christ, to show and to provide scriptures of not only what he came here to do, what he came here to teach, but where he was teaching it from also. Okay, so just to jump right into it, today we're going to start at the book of St. John, chapter 6 and verse 38. This is verse 38, and it reads, "For I came down from heaven not to do my own will, but the will of him that sent me." Now, based on this scripture, we know that Christ didn't come to do his own will. He came to do the will of the Father. And if you read St. John, verse 8 and 29, we also know from that scripture that Christ was the only man of flesh who lived in this world that was never guilty of sin. Because in St. John 8 and 29, he said, "I always do the things that are pleasing unto him," referring to the Most High. I always do the things that are pleasing unto him. And we know from reading the scriptures, the things that are pleasing unto the Most High is that we keep his laws, his statutes, and his commandments. Now, if we jump to the book of Matthew, chapter 4, okay, we're going to start at verse 1. Now, just to give you some context, this is when Yahushua HaMashiach, who the world knows as Jesus Christ, was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. And if you read in the Apocrypha, Ecclesiastes, or the book of Sirach, verse 2 and verse 1, it says, "If thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thyself for temptation." And since we know that Christ, or Yahushua HaMashiach, came to serve the Lord, he prepared himself for the temptation that he was about to experience. Okay, now this is Matthew chapter 4, verse 1. "Then was Jesus led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward a hungered. And when the tempter came to him, he said, If thou be the Son of God, command that these stones be made bread." Verse 4, Matthew 4, chapter 4 and verse 4. "But he answered and said, It is written, Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Lord." Now notice, he said, it is written that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Lord. Now we're going to find out where that came from. Okay, so we're going to jump to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 8 and verse 3. And this is the Torah from the mouth of Moses. And he said, this is verse 3 of Deuteronomy 8. "And he humbled thee, and suffered thee to hunger, and fed thee with manna, which thou knewest not, neither did thy fathers know, that he might make thee know that man doth not live by bread only, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Lord doth man live." So we see that in Matthew chapter 4, verse 4, Christ used the precepts from the Torah, from Deuteronomy 8 and 3, to prevent the devil from being able to tempt him. Okay, now we're going to go back to Matthew 4, and we're going to go to verse 5. This is Matthew chapter 4 and verse 5. "Then the devil taketh him up into the holy city, and setteth him on a pinnacle of the temple, and saith unto him, If thou be the Son of God, cast thyself down, for it is written, He shall give his angels charge concerning thee, and in their hand shall they bear thee up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against the stone. And this is verse 7. And Jesus said unto him, It is written, Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. Okay, so where did that scripture come from? Matthew 4 and 7, when he said, It is written, Thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. Okay, let's find out. All right, we're going to go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6 and verse 16. This is the words of Moses being spoken to the Israelites after he delivered them out of captivity in Egypt. I'm going to start at verse 15. It says, For the Lord thy God is a jealous God among you, lest the anger of the Lord thy God be kindled against thee and destroy thee from off the face of the earth. This is verse 16, 6 and 16 of the book of Deuteronomy. Ye shall not tempt the Lord your God as ye tempted him in Massah. Ye shall diligently keep the commandments of the Lord your God, and his testimonies and his statutes, which he hath commanded you. So we see that in Matthew 4 and 7, Christ used the book of Deuteronomy chapter 6 and 16 in order to prevent the devil from tempting him. Okay, now if we jump down, we're going to start at verse 8. The book of Matthew, chapter 4, and verse 8 says, Again, the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain, and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them. And he saith unto him, All these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. Then saith Jesus unto him, Get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, Thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve. Okay, so Matthew 4 and 10, he said, It is written that thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve. So let's see where that precept came from. We're going to go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6 and verse 13. Okay, we're going to start at verse 12. And says, Then beware lest thou forget the Lord, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. This is verse 13, Deuteronomy 6 and 13. Thou shalt fear the Lord thy God and serve him, and shalt swear by his name. So we see that in the book of Matthew, chapter 4 and verse 10, that when Christ was tempted by Satan on top of the high mountain, that he referred to the book of Moses 6 and 13 in order to prevent himself from being tempted. Now, if you've been in the truth long enough, I'm sure that you've met some brothers that don't believe the New Testament. They subscribe to the Old Testament only. And, we have to keep all those brothers in our prayers, but it's important that you understand that at the time the New Testament was taking place, there was no New Testament written. So Christ, as well as all the other brothers in the New Testament, were teaching from the Old Testament. You just have to have the proper understanding on that. And like it says in Sirach, or Ecclesiastes in the Apocrypha, verse 2, or chapter 2 and verse 1, he said, If thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thyself for temptation. And we know that Christ came to serve the Lord, and he used the precepts from the Torah to prepare himself for the temptation of Satan. All right. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Shalom, shalom.